I've got everything picked up for my new PC. I just need some RAM. What the fuck? Yeah, that was really stupid. Anyway, welcome to the Red Box. In the modern age of Ramageddon, we don't really have much of a choice in how to build a gaming PC. DDR4 and 5 are being scalped to oblivion for the beauty that is AI, so I wanted to see if DDR3 RAM is still a good choice for a budget build. I wanted to spend less than $200 for this build, and since that budget is so tight, I have very little to go off of. But hopefully that will make this challenge even more fun. Now, finding enough deals to build a PC on eBay alone is pretty much impossible, but lucky for me, I love wasting a few hours each week scouring Facebook Marketplace and local electronic stores. And also, luckily for me, my habits of wasting time paid off, as I found a Dell Optiplex 9020 with an i7-4790, a 500GB hard drive, and 8 gigs of RAM for $45. But what's the catch? Well, it had no operating system, and yeah, that's it. So it's a pretty easy fix. I'll just put Windows 11 on it and oh yeah, this CPU kinda isn't compatible with Windows 11. But I mean, there is a way to get around this little hiccup, so it's not all that bad. Now that it's got Windows 11 through completely legitimate means, we need to do some upgrades because as it stands, this thing won't be doing any real gaming anytime soon. So I found a 600 watt PSU on Amazon for around $45, and with that, I went deal hunting. And I was lucky enough to find a deal on a 250GB SSD and 32 gigs of DDR3 RAM for $30. And with that installed, we still aren't gaming, but I can open like 5 Google tabs without it slowing down, which is an improvement. But with the determination of a frat boy at a gas station asking others to buy him alcohol, I started searching for a GPU to fit into the $80 budget I had left. And after a bit of searching, I found an RX 590 for $60, which, while it may not be the most recent card, should still hold its own today. With the total for this build being $180, I stayed well below the $200 budget I had set. Now that we've seen that it is still possible to build a budget gaming PC in 2026, although you do have to do quite a bit of deal hunting, let's see just how well DDR3 games. Enter the Gungeon plays extremely well here, averaging an FPS of around 185, but I mean that doesn't say much as it would probably play on a toaster with the screen. It handles the completely normal amount of bullets and enemies on the screen just as well as you would expect from a gaming PC. Dredge is an amazing indie horror game that is extremely easy to lose countless hours into, and as much as I could rave about this game, I'll save that for another day. The performance is what's important here. The game runs at well over 200 FPS with no stutters, so it's safe to say that this PC can handle this game as well. I wanted to see how it would handle a more graphically intense indie game, so I chose to test a game that's familiar to this channel and see how well Backrooms Escape Together plays. And it's kind of surprising, with the Ultra Graphics preset, it runs at 50 to 60 FPS, which is pretty good for such an old system. Microsoft's adopted poster child runs at FPS numbers well into the hundreds, but stutters quite a bit. Other than that, it performs pretty much how you'd expect. I know testing Minecraft probably seems redundant, but I'm just covering all my bases, as many people do want a PC just to play indie games or play Minecraft. Anyway, it handles the game well, so on to the next one. Dead by Daylight is a game only basement-dwelling losers play. Aww. It runs almost at a locked 60 FPS, occasionally dropping below that by just 2 or 3 frames, but very seldomly any more than that. Anyway, here's a brief intermission of just how awesome I am at looping. yep, this game may run well, but I run even better. I do want you to keep in mind that I don't play this game very often at all, so please don't judge me if I'm not doing too hot. Oh yeah, I've still got it. Now if I see any comments saying that all of my kills were bots, I'm going to find your IP address and DDoS you every time you try to log into your favorite game. Anyway, the performance is pretty good, running on a pretty solid 120 FPS with no stutters. Mortal Shell looks great and runs just as good, staying at around 55 FPS. Now, I suck at Soulsborne games, but this game is not only graphically intense, it also has a ton going on, so I forced myself to play it as a test for whatever system I want to benchmark. Anyway, on to the next one. Ghostwire Tokyo is... Do you hear that?
Yeah, are you a little fucking green little bird? Yeah, are you gonna chirp? Yeah, you go ahead and fucking be a little bird. Be a bird.
So he let loose in the garden center, behind a fern. He left his hoodie behind to cover the damage.
Good job, alright.
Aren't you forgetting something?
I don't know what happened, but I sure do hope it was informative and made you feel something for the first time since your father walked out the door. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the game performs pretty well, running at around 40 to 45 FPS with minimal stutters. It's definitely playable and mostly an enjoyable experience. All in all, I'm going to say that unless you're playing the most modern and graphically intense games, a budget PC built with DDR3 may be a good choice for you. It handled all the games I threw at it well, and I don't really have anything to complain about with any of them, so I'm going to give DDR3 in 2026 a 4 out of 5 on the breadbox scale. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next one.